Hopefully you can hear me. Tiffany, hi. Hello, how are you?
Hi there. Doing pretty good. It's a nice
Good.
sunny Friday in Seattle.
Oh,
I'm
that's
surprised.
great. I'm glad. So welcome to, this is your first time on TGIK, right?
Yep. First
Yeah,
time I've watched
first
them
time.
and just been a commenter.
You've been a long time troll, first time caller.
Yeah, basically exactly
Yeah,
that.
basically. All right. Well, this is only my second time hosting, so I'm not exactly a veteran myself. But welcome everybody. So we're both pretty new to this, and we are trying to do a dual stream. So if we have weird technical difficulties, please bear with us. But I'm already seeing people saying they can hear us. So that is a good start. So Martin from the Netherlands, hi, how's it going? Jonas in Boston, Noel in India, Eric in Seattle, CTAC. You know,
Woo, Seattle.
I kind of miss referring to places by their airport codes, but now I'm not really traveling. I don't really do that anymore. Riv from Boston, hey, how's it going? Michael, the very famous Michael. He says that he can hear us, so that's always good. Walid, hey, how's it going? You're a regular as well. Juka from Helsinki, wow. And there's a Tasha Eisenberg. Do we know a Tasha Eisenberg, Tiffany?
I don't know.
I don't know if we know a Tasha
Hi,
Eisenberg.
Tasha.
And then, of course, Josh Rosso is here, long time host of the show.
Hi, Marcos.
And was
and Jonas.
graceful enough to step aside and let a couple of amateurs run the place. So thank you, and we apologize. Cora.
We'll see if he regrets it.
Preethi, Alex from sunny Northern California. Tim, hey, how's it going? Eric, DFW, nice. We're almost neighbors. We just have a long stretch of I-35 between us. All right. So, Wences is from Dallas as well. And we have Ismail from Turkey, nice. And Bogdan from Bucharest. So we've got as usual, a pretty international audience. Thanks to all the folks in far off time zones that are either up late at night or very early in the morning. We're very grateful that you took the time to join us. Tiffany and I are going to be doing an episode on Harbor. It has been a long time requested, sitting in the backlog. And I guess maybe because it's kind of a project that's spun out of VMware, we sort of have taken it a little bit for granted in TGIK. So I'm glad we're actually getting up in front of folks and we're going to go through it. Tiffany, you're sharing your screen, so you are in control of where we're at, but we're at the notes page. So maybe let's have a look at our news and review, our week in review, I should say.
Yep. So first, let's take a look at the things for core Kubernetes. So as some of you may know or may not, Kubernetes is now moving to 3 releases per year, and you can actually add some of your input on that. If my internet would go, there we go. So basically, yeah, it's just an open issue and describes everything that's kind of happening there. Lots of votes, and if you want to comment, you can be one of the people here adding your comments or add whether thumbs ups, etc., on the things that other people have said thus far.
By the way, folks, if you like to play the TGIK drinking game, we no longer get to drink every time Duffy jangles his keys or coins or whatever it was. But you can definitely take a drink every time Tiffany complains about the slow speed of her internet or her computer. And you'll probably get quite drunk by the end of the episode, if I know Tiffany.
Well, it's not if you know me, it's if you know my computer.
That's true.
I will request a new one. I'm supposed to. Anyway, let's go back over to this page. Okay, let's go here. Yeah, maybe I should everyone's gonna be drunk, but yeah, maybe I should have restarted my internet before this. We should test this out. we'll let you comment to this one, Paul, if you know much about it.
Yeah, just give me one quick second. We're just getting some comments about some noise pops, so I just changed some settings quickly to see if that helps. So SCTP is a protocol that I guess it's in the family of TCP and UDP, but is kind of not as commonly used. I actually had to look it up on the Wikipedia earlier when I saw this because it looked familiar, but I couldn't remember it. And at first, I thought we were getting SFTP support, and I was very concerned about what we were doing. I thought maybe we were going to get like a storage class or something based on FTP, and I don't think I would have liked that nearly as much. But yeah, so SCTP, I think we've got a link to say what SCTP is. I can't even say the initials. So good luck actually knowing what it is. But we're bringing this in, and so I think this will allow like load balancers in Kubernetes to support doing the load balancing for the networking. Yeah, so there is that. What else have we got on there, Tiffany?
And then with that, there's the okay, so it's stream control transmission protocol. Okay, so this is the thing that you're talking about to explain like what it is. Okay, so then now like outside of just the core part of Kubernetes, so we have the PVC auto resizer.
So that's actually pretty exciting for me. I will often make a really bad guess at how much space I need on a PVC, and then I freak out because I'm stuck with it. Actually, a good example is using something like Harbor, right? You're like, oh, I only need 100 gig for my images, and then like a week later, you're like, oh, no, I needed more than that. And so instead of trying to like back it up, create a new one and restore it, I guess we can use a resizer. I assume the CSI has to support it. Oh, it even says on there, can virtually be used with all CSI drivers that support volume expansion. And I would imagine that most CSI drivers will support volume expansion because that's something we've been doing with our SANs and our NASs for a long time. So I would assume that all the major clouds will provide it, and most of the like in data center providers will support it. So that's a good thing. I wonder, is it oh, it's an auto resizer. So I wonder if you set like a maximum and minimum. Does it have anything about the spec in the doc?
Let's see. Why prerequisite, how it works, how to use it.
Oh, okay. So it's it connects to Prometheus, I guess, to get the like how much is being used and maybe even the like speed at which it's being filled.
Like so.
And then we have the resize thresholds. Yeah. So this looks very much like the horizontal pod autoscaler, except for storage, as far as how it functions. So that's pretty cool. I wonder, can you just edit a PVC and resize it? I don't think I've ever tried.
I'm not sure.
Huh. You know, I've just always assumed that you couldn't, but I've never tried. Well, if we get bored, we could even
apparently
try that.
You can upwards.
All right. So you can size up, you can't size down, which makes sense.
Yeah, maybe it'd be pretty bad if you could size down.
If we get excited and we get through the Harbor stuff, we can just try resizing one of the Harbor volumes and see what happens. But we'll make sure that we don't break it.
So let's see. Yeah, there's like several different like annotations and things, and like there's automatic, etc.
Oh yeah, I see. That's cool. So setting the annotation. So it's obviously it's a controller that's running in the cluster, and it'll use these annotations to determine if the particular PVC should be resizable. Cool. All right.
Yeah, and Bogdan says basically you can do it upwards if the CSI driver supports resizing.
Nice. All
Cool.
right. Well, let's see what else we got going on here. Um, so that is auto resizing for PVCs.
Yep. And
Exploring
then there.
Waypoint. So isn't this Waypoint is what Josh did on last week's TGIK, right?
I will be honest, I did not see last week's
Oh,
TGIK because
boo.
I'm terrible.
Boo. What a terrible coworker.
I know.
um, so I guess this is just a
But yeah, that was the one.
yeah. So I guess Waypoint was only announced a couple of weeks ago, right, at the HashiCorp virtual conference.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, I don't think we need to go through this too much because Josh did just do the episode on it, but
Yeah.
it's good to see more activity around Waypoint. Folks trying to figure out where and how it might fit into their tooling ecosystem. Obviously, everyone loves them some Hashi products, going all the way back to like Vagrant.
Yep.
Um, what are your thoughts on the fact that they have their own markup language? Is it HCL? Is that the markup language? And then they have the config language too, Toml. Um,
Yeah,
have you used is Toml HashiCorp or they just adopted it? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm admitting my failure here, but thus far I've only used Vagrant.
Gotcha. Yeah, so Wallard said that he's a big fan of HCL because you can put comments in it, and I agree. And in fact, it feels very much like a slightly easier to read JSON that lets you also put comments in there. And yeah, I don't know where I was going. But let's move on. So let's have a look back at the episode and see what else we have to talk about.
Oh yeah, the deprecation of
Oh yeah,
stable.
so there's been a lot of activity in the Helm community recently, trying to figure out like we announced we were going to decorate, uh, use my words. We're going to deprecate the community repos in about a year ago, so it's been about 12 months. And the main reason was that the drain and burnout on the chart maintainers trying to keep up with the charts and updates to the charts. There was 300 or 400 charts, some of which were very active, and some of which were very large, and it just meant that like the chart maintainers were just constantly triaging the charts and didn't really have a great time. And so we sort of made the decision we were going to decentralize it. And we also got the Artifact Hub recently, which made it a lot easier for us to decentralize. So what we did is we sort of announced we were going to deprecate the charts, but we sort of found that a lot of folks were still using them. And so rather than just the original plan of deleting them come the end of November, which was kind of not necessarily the community's choice, but more of a someone had to pay for it choice. And so we ended up with, at the last minute, GitHub came to the party and said that we'll help you host a read-only replica of the chart repos. And so we've built that out in GitHub, just in GitHub Pages actually, and basically come the 13th, we'll be switching across to those. And if you're using an older client, you'll just need to follow the instructions we have. And I think I linked to it on how to switch to use the read-only repositories. But of course, if you are using the Helm chart repositories, your best bet is to go to the Artifact Hub and look for who now owns the non-deprecated version of that chart. So a lot of charts have gone to whoever owns it. And then, of course, we have Bitnami and other folks that are hosting some really great sets of curated charts. And so before you just switch to using the read-only replicas, I highly recommend seeing if you can switch to, like, Nginx is now hosting their own charts, etc. So yeah, I think
Cool.
that's probably all of the Helm stuff. Pretty important because it is widely used at a lot of companies, and it's been hard to really get the word out about the upcoming deprecation. And the Helm community is trying their best to have it not be a huge surprise. So yeah, that is our Helm stuff. What else have we got on that list?
Open telemetry release cadence announced.
Right. So
geez, that is a lot of issues in merged PRs. It's the second most active CNCF project.
That's impressive.
Let's see. Trying to find like a date thing in here.
Yeah, okay. So it's kind of just a write-up. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty. Let's see here. Okay, so there will be a better understanding of the GA release time in the next few weeks.
Gotcha. So a lot of words and not too many dates. So hopefully we see some dates and some concrete details.
Yeah.
But Open Telemetry is a really cool project. So it's good to see that they're getting close to GA.
Awesome. Great.
Cool. What else have we got in there?
Cluster API now has EKS support.
Nice. So I can say, kubectl, get me a kubectl. Kubernetes, give me a Kubernetes. And that Kubernetes could be on EKS. That's cool.
And if anyone's unfamiliar, EKS is Amazon's managed Kubernetes offering.
Right. Now, I know they have Amazon has an operator for deploying Amazon resources. I wonder if this wraps the operator under Cluster API, or if they're using, if not, they're probably using the same libraries and SDKs.
I am not sure.
Cool.
That's just creating cluster.
I've used the Google operator a fair bit, and it is kind of cool to be able to do hey Kubernetes, give me a GKE cluster, and now that's not using Cluster API, but I would imagine that it must be on its way if it's not there already, right? Because if they've already made it programmatically doable, then in theory, wrapping Cluster API in front of it should be doable.
Yeah, I've kind of lost a little bit of track since leaving the EKS team. So, yep, something for me to look into.
Nice. And is that it? Can we roll into Harbor now? Cool.
Let me think about it. I mean, I am the one running the screen. Just kidding.
Right. Now I actually had an architectural diagram to stick.
Oh, you found one?
I did, and then I forgot about it. Yeah, there it is right there. How do I get it to you? I can probably come here.
But yeah, from what I was aware, Cluster API things were pretty separate from the operator, and that it was its own kind of thing to not exactly be in the same path as Cluster API.
Yeah. What are we seeing about Grafana Tempo? Oh, Grafana Tempo is an open source, easy to use, and high scale distributed tracing backend. So Grafana is really stepping up with that
this week.
With that sort of stuff, because they have Loki, which is this sort of a similar thing for logging that sort of gives you an alternative to the Elk stack, which I find really appealing because it can be just kind of a thin shim around your object storage plus database to store your indexes in. which is a lot easier to tackle than building out a massive Elasticsearch cluster and keeping the replicas working, etc. So I always enjoy seeing the tools that the Grafana folks come out with. So I just pasted into the notes the architectural overview. So when we get to that, hopefully we can pop through that.
Cool.
So this isn't the current version. This is 2.0. The current
Yeah.
version is 2.1, but there's not a ton of differences. So we should be good. And I just thought we could have this here in case we needed to look at the actual, like, how all the components work together. But Tiffany, do you want to just, I guess, maybe take us through like a basic introduction, what Harbor is, what problem it's trying to solve?
Sure. Well, first off, if you haven't actually like looked at it, you can just go to hard to read from here. I don't know if this page is, but I don't know if the thing that was hard to read is the architecture, which would make sense because I didn't like make it bigger.
If we have to get to the architecture, we'll try and zoom in and get to the images and stuff. But if the text on the screens are hard to read, please let us know and we'll try to zoom in. Okay, cool.
Okay, yeah, it was the architecture map, so we'll worry about that later. Yeah, so basically, Harbor is created as like being an open source registry. You can have like images in there. You can have Helm charts that you created or pulled from somewhere in there. It has built-in scanning in there, and you can choose between different things such as like Trivy or Claire. You can create like specific users and give certain permissions, whether it's an actual person or something that you are trying to use, say for like some of the things for tasks, there might be certain permissions that you want to give it, and you can create a user to be able to just do certain things like polling from the registry. So like basically, if you've been using things like dockerhub, for instance, the way that you kind of go about it is pretty similar, but basically it adds up a whole bunch of different other things to it, and you can have you can also have like your private and public registries. There's the idea of you can have different projects within it and kind of separate things out a bit more versus like if with Docker, there's one single place that you're pushing everything into. Is there anything else that you think should be added to that?
I mean, I think that gets a bunch of it. I guess I would probably add that it does kind of target the enterprise use case, and therefore it does support things like replication. And actually, Walid just mentioned it, things like replication, proxying, and mirroring. It also has really strong support for like external authentication. So if you want to back your authentication to your like LDAP or Active Directory, you can do that. If you want to back it against your like an OIDC/OAuth server, like you could back it against like GitHub Auth or Google Auth if you wanted. And so that's super appealing. And I've used that before and it works really well. And actually, Marcos brings up a really good point. And actually, it's really timely we're doing Harbor right now because Docker is starting to enforce limits this weekend. And as Marcos said, it is the perfect time to be thinking of Harbor as, even if nothing else, a Docker Hub proxy. And we can talk through and hopefully show how you can run it as a proxy as we go through. But the idea would be you would ask Harbor for an image, and if it didn't have it, it would go and collect it from Docker Hub. And that way, you're not constantly pulling images from Docker Hub. And so if you have things that are in Docker Hub that you don't want to move, because say they're also public images, it's a really good way of having them available both publicly, but also more privately behind sort of an enterprise firewall.
And another cool thing is it is a CNCF graduated project.
That's right.
And also like Docker Hub, they decided to delay like how long the image like there's that the whole thing with there's a certain amount of time that they were retaining images for, and apparently that policy is not happening actually until next year.
Nice. And Ansel says he's using Harbor as a proxy in his home lab. That's a great idea. Saving your internet data. If you don't, especially if you don't have high-speed internet, or you have metered internet, and some ISP is charging you, extra gigabits or gigabytes or gigadollars maybe for all these Docker pulls you're doing. Emmanuel asks, is there any plan to enable the pull cache proxy service without running 2 instances of Harbor? I'm not actually sure, but I do know we have some folks from the Harbor project in chat, so hopefully one of them can speak up and answer some of the more specific, deeper Harbor questions. And Alex indeed has said we only need 1 instance. And Michael's replying with the same thing. Cool. Does it support ARM? I don't know. I guess it would if the images have been built for ARM. I'm going to take a guess and say that they haven't, but I don't. That's not a definite. And Ben, it is
coming.
It is absolutely possible to make Harbor HA, and we'll talk about that a little bit. And in fact, Tiffany, why don't you click through to the installation and configuration guide, because I believe it mentions doing HA there.
Cool. Yeah, I remember it's saying that. Let's see.
Yeah, so where are we?
I can just like look up. Let's see. It would be HA. Oh, geez.
Yeah, HA will show up a few times on the Harbor, but there we go. You can also use Helm to install Harbor on a Kubernetes cluster to make Harbor highly available. So why don't you click through on that deploying Harbor with high availability link.
Prereqs.
All right, so it says we need Harbor 2.8 or higher, but you're of course going to use Helm 3, right? Because Helm 2 is...
Yeah, it's saying 2. Yeah. You said Harbor, so I was like, wait, what?
Oh, Helm.
There's no Harbor 2.8.
Yeah. It says use Helm 2.8 plus, but you better use Helm 3.
Use 3.
Yeah. Helm 2 is not something you should be using in 2020. So ingress control. The ingress makes Harbor sort of HA from a web front end point of view, and then you can tell Helm to use an external Postgres database and an external Redis, and so that lets you have HA on your databases. It doesn't make a lot of sense for Harbor to try and run HA Postgres and HA Redis because you'd end up with like very complex Helm charts. And then, of course, using PVCs for storage for any of the Harbor bits, using object storage for the actual artifacts is all going to help you get to HA. And then once you've done that, like the various components, like you can run multiple Claire pods, you can run multiple of the core, which is like the API, you can run multiple of the registry server, and to do that in your Helm values file, you're literally just changing how many replicas you want. So it is pretty easy to do so. So as long as you can get access to HA database and Redis, which I think most clouds will have some kind of service you can tie into. And then Alex says the HA is leveraging the native replica sets of Kubernetes. So basically you just say in the kube manifests or the Helm values file, how many replicas you want. And it will sort of figure that out with Kubernetes. So let's have a look at their instructions. So download chart and then configure it. And these are kind of the bare minimum things you want to do, right? So you need to set the hosts. So your core, which is kind of the main entry point to Helm, and Notary have different entry points. And so you need to set those. And then tell it where your database is and where Redis is and set up your credentials, etc. And that's kind of it. It tells you how to create the databases and stuff. It tells you how to deal with
Yep.
the Redis Sentinel, which is great. So I think that's really all you need. And then it's talking about the PVCs you need. So it's pretty good
Yep.
documentation.
And then
So
Replica
why
says,
don't we
yeah.
flip across to, okay, let's have a quick look at the install. Skip past Helm 2 because we're not doing Helm 2. So Helm 3, right? Really simple. Helm install my release dot. Now, what they're doing in these instructions is they're telling you to pull down the entire chart and modify the values file directly.
Yep.
The alternative is, of course, is you could create a separate values file and do a Helm install from the Helm repo. And that's the steps that I took when we installed Helm on the cluster that we're going to be using. We installed Harbor on the cluster we're going to be using. So Tiffany, do you want to bring up your VS Code and we'll take a look at how we got our infrastructure running?
Yep.
And
Hopefully
now
it'll end up being big enough.
the reason we prepared this was because we have a bunch of infrastructure running to make it so we could have like decent DNS and certificates. So Tiffany, do you want to just hit on the install.sh and we'll look at how I installed the infrastructure?
Let's see. Let me word wrap.
So you can see.
I don't know if word wrapping helps.
I have this running on a GKE cluster. And so you can see I installed Contour as an ingress controller. And then I installed Cert Manager. So I grabbed the CRDs, created some namespaces, and then created some secrets with Google credentials that only have access to DNS to modify my DNS settings. And then I add the JetStack and Bitnami Helm charts and install Cert Manager and install external DNS with a typo. So I must have accidentally hidden an M in there. And then I had some external values files, and that just set some stuff up. Tiffany, if you want to click on my external DNS YAML. So you can see that's really simple. External DNS just needs to know about my Google credentials so that it can manage my DNS. And then if you click on Cluster Issuer, so here I created, I think, 3 cluster issuers, Let's Encrypt and Let's Encrypt Staging. And did I do a self-signed one as well? Yeah, and I did a self-signed one as well.
Yeah.
And that way, as I was deploying it, I wasn't deploying with real cert manager certs because I didn't want to hit the Let's Encrypt limits on their real. So I got it all working with self-signed, and then I switched to Let's Encrypt Prod. And that way I get real certificates. And that's pretty important for your registry because the last thing you want to do is have to fight your Google cluster, your Kubernetes cluster to get your CAs up into your data plane nodes, your worker nodes, so that they trust your registry, right? Because you need a valid, you either need a valid cert or you need to inject your CA up into your data plane. And if you're running your own kube cluster, that's not too hard to do because you've installing Kubernetes. But if you're on GKE, if you're on AKS, you don't necessarily have easy access to do that. And so I always recommend that folks always use real certs, and that just stops them fighting, having to fight the cluster to get the certs up there. So that was kind of my infrastructure. So there's not too much needed, but those things definitely help. And then, so if you click on the values Harbor, we can have a look at how I set up my Helm chart values for Harbor. Now, I left the admin password in there, which I don't mind you all seeing, because nobody's going to do any horrible goose activities and hack us. And also, I'm going to destroy this infrastructure as soon as we're finished here. So we're on the honor system. Don't hack us. But you can see these are all values files that get rendered into the Helm templates. So I'm basically saying I want ingress enabled, and I will use TLS, and I'm going to provide my own certs. And then you can see, as the docs mentioned, I supply the ingress hosts, so harbor dot and notary dot. And then I pass in some annotations. And so I always want to make sure that people use HTTPS. And so I pass in the force SSL redirect. I also want to make sure that anything that's sitting in front of it, whatever my ingress controller is not going to put limits on how much it's allowing through. So if, especially with Nginx, if you leave the defaults on the proxy body size and a few other settings, you end up not really being able to do much, because it breaks through like after 20 meg or so of image size. And so you got to be very careful that whatever ingress you're using, you configure to allow it to pass through larger images. Then, because I'm using Contour, I'm passing in my ingress class in case there's another ingress controller. And then I'm setting my cert manager cluster issuer to use it. Let's encrypt. So this is using the real one. And then the rest of it is setting some persistence. So taking some guesses at the sizes I need for the database and Redis, as well as setting up Google Cloud Storage as my backing service for artifacts. And that way, if I need to destroy this infrastructure and spin it up again, at least my artifacts are still sitting there in the back end. So that's kind of how we got the install going. And then, Tiffany, if you click on the README, I think it shows the commands I ran to install it. So like Helm repo add, create the namespace, and then Helm install, and pass in that values file. So pretty simple. It took like 5 or 10 minutes to get installed and running, because obviously it takes a while for like a Postgres database to start and a Redis database to start. And so there's some cascading dependencies that sort of need to resolve themselves on the cluster to get everything working. But when it is all working, we then end up with a, do you want to open up command prompt and let's have a look at the actual installed namespace?
One sec. Let me open up the activity monitor in a different screen, because it's the loudest I've ever heard my fan, just in case I need to kill something.
Your machine's going to melt.
We'll see. All right. Sorry. You told me to open what?
Just our tmark session, so we can see the.
All right, and you were saying to just show like what's all up and running.
Here, let me do some activities. So we can do get harbor all.
Yeah, and I was thinking we could show this in Octant.
Oh yeah, that's a really good idea. So let's.
Well, that's struggle busing. I'm gonna go to Octant. So if you don't know what Octant is, basically it's a really cool UI that you use with Kubernetes, and you can see like all the different things that you have running per like depending on like what context you're using, and then the different namespaces. It's real time, so it's kind of like when you do a watch, you can actually see things as they are coming up or if they fail, and then you can like dig into things, like look into a pods. You can see, you can actually get into a pod, you can look at different logs and other things like that. So if we click here, we can see Harbor. Eventually. Okay, it's a little harder to like funky looking, so I might actually just make it harder to read, because that way you can kind of see all the different things. Let's see. There we go. We can kind of scooch that over a bit. So basically, it ends up creating a bunch of different deployments for different things that are needed. Like, so there was the stuff with Notary that was mentioned. There's the Claire, which is used for the image scanning. And then I'm not actually sure what some of these specific ones do. Was there a specific thing that you wanted to go into
I just wanted to show that
in any
there
of them?
was stuff deployed. So we kind of
Okay.
have like core is the main sort of entry point to Harbor, and it then redirects work to say Chart Museum to host Helm charts, to the registry to do the registry work. There's notary and notary signer, so that if you're signing your actual images, you can ensure that they're signed correctly. Job service is there to like schedule jobs. Like I guess if it's scheduling like daily scans using the vulnerability scanner, it's using job service. And it has Claire and Trivy are both installed, and they're both scanners, vulnerability scanners. And I think that's it. Oh, and then there's Portal, which is an Nginx server that runs kind of in front of Core. And I think it's optional. And so I'm not sure if it's really doing too much there, apart from kind of, I guess, maybe adding a little bit of protections. You're not exposing your raw Go app to the internet. So that's kind of the infrastructure. Actually, do you want to click through the architecture diagram now? That might be a good time to show that off.
Let's see. I'll just. Let's see. Is there a way to make it so? I don't know if it's legible.
I feel like
I guess people can tell me if I need to zoom in.
That's probably pretty legible. Yeah, so I guess then we have our proxy, which is the portal there, and then we have core.
Yep.
And so you can see core is doing a ton of stuff, right? And then it's reaching into the various bits as needed, like the registry server, etc.
Yeah, and then we can see like the things that like that chart museum. We can see the stuff with notary, the job service, like all those other like little pieces that we were saying when we were looking on Octant.
Right. Yeah. I mean, actually, I didn't know about Engine and DoSec, so it comes with Claire and Trivy, but I guess you can plug in Engine and DoSec as well for scanning. And there's a ton of support for the replicated registries, so that's cool. So yeah, and then of course a little side loading of your identity providers if you have Active Directory or OAuth or whatever. So there's a lot going on inside of Harbor. If you've ever used, like if you ever run the Docker registry, it's kind of just one binary and it's pretty simplistic, but it doesn't really do anything. Oh, and Michael says we also support Sysdig as the pluggable scanner now as well.
Cool.
So that is cool.
Yeah, it kind of gives people the choice of what they want to do. So I guess, yeah, you can pair with any third-party commercial or open source scanner.
Yeah. So why don't we actually have a look at the scanning side of things as a first spot. So let's bring up our Harbor cluster itself. Now we actually have two Harbor clusters up, so hopefully we remember to use the right one. So this is the new one that I spun up, and then we have one that's the slightly older version in case we want to try and set up some replication or something. But if you scroll, so one of my favorite things about any website is it has that light button, and so you can go from dark mode to light mode and back, and it defaults to dark mode, which everything
it
should
actually
default to dark
started
mode.
at light mode when
when
I opened it. I had to make it dark.
Mine defaulted to dark mode. Oh well, either way.
Well, maybe you're the evil one, and
right. So yeah, let's swing down to where do we? Is it interrogation services?
Yep.
What's the?
Oh gosh.
What's the thing we need?
Uh-oh.
I
totally put it as remember me. Let's see. One moment while I look at what the password is again.
It's in the top of that doc that you had open before.
That's true.
And I don't mind if people see it. I trust them. It's just my admin password. Alex, we actually set it to something other than the default, just for not wanting random trolls on the internet to access it.
Yeah, so like by default, the password is harbor12345, and you have the option to change it. If you're doing things for fun, maybe it doesn't really matter. But if you don't want people to screw with it, you ideally give a different password and you don't show people.
Right. So it looks like we have Trivy and Claire are both up and running, but Trivy is set to be the one that does the default scanning. If we click on Trivy, does it give us more information about like things it's scanned, or is this just kind of the config for it?
Let's see. I see the config here. It's so hard when things are zoomed to make things visible.
All right. Well, in that case,
nope, that's it in this, at least in this view.
Yeah. So I guess maybe we switch to projects, and I think I just threw a Alpine image in there just as something to have. And so hopefully in there we'll have a scan result next to the image.
Yeah, so by default, there's a project called library. You can choose to have everything that you want into this project, but you can also create other projects as well, which we can show after I poke into library and see if Alpine is correctly there. So here we can see there's Alpine. You can see that's broken down to repositories. There's the Helm charts, and then a bunch of other things that we can look into later. So if we click on Alpine, you can see that initially it is not scanned. So if we were to click here, and then we could click scan, and then it ends up putting that in the queue, and then using Trivy to scan it for any vulnerabilities. And luckily, there are none. So you can see that took, for Alpine, that was very quick, and it couldn't find anything there.
Nice. Yeah, 8 seconds to do a vulnerability scan, although it's a small image, so I guess it makes sense. Yeah. I'm just curious, anyone that's out there, so I noticed that this project is listed as public. So if someone wants to go ahead and try pulling library Alpine from this repository, that would be interesting to see if it just works for you. Yeah, so the full registry is harbor.tgik.demo.polzar.wtf. So if you can manage to type all that out, then /library/alpine, you should be able to pull this image from us because it is a public repo. Why don't we go ahead and create a private repo and then try and set up some replication?
Sounds good. All right. So do you want to create another project, or should we do it?
Yeah, let's create a new one.
All right. So let's see. Let's call it TGIK.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So then here you can choose whether you want it to be public or private. You can give it a storage quota if it's -1. There isn't one, and then you can also give it a proxy cache.
Ooh.
Yeah. So then, like, that's the proxy for like dockerhub and for other like Harbor ones.
Cool. Well, we can try that a bit later as well. Set one up as a proxy cache and test that out.
We need the endpoint.
Yeah, so let's not do it for this one, but we might try it for one in a bit.
Okay.
So I guess just hit OK. That's it.
So now we have TGIK.
We'll need to set user permissions, right?
Yep. Let's see.
Yeah, so we only have the admin user set up on this, and I feel like
members admin. Yep.
I feel like creating users is pretty boring. Like everyone knows how to create a username and password, but what I did see up there was something about robot accounts. And so maybe we can go ahead and create a robot account and then see if we can get Kubernetes to pull an image from this repository once we have one there.
Sounds good. What should we call the robot?
Let's call it TGIK. Maybe
And
TGIK-robot,
the
just to make
the
sure.
repo is it's harbor.tgik.demo.paulczar.wtf, and then it would be /library/alpine.
Yeah. And it's just a HTTPS, so it's the regular ports.
Okay, so let's see. All good. Cool.
Yeah.
I don't think we need anything else here for this.
Nope, I think that's good.
I didn't realize
Okay.
it would just disappear.
Uh-oh. How do we
So
get that back?
I copied the token.
Oh, you did?
For
Okay, cool.
robot $TGIK. So I have it
Alright.
copied. I just better not copy anything else.
So why don't we just throw that in a variable in your command line, and that way
Okay.
it's there.
I was gonna just throw it in here, but that works too.
Whichever way.
Let's see. I don't know. Cool.
Nice. And that's a hefty password. Nice. All right,
Super chunky.
so that is that done. I guess let's push an image into that registry. So we could just use your the admin creds we've already logged in.
Nginx.
So yeah, Nginx works great. So go ahead and maybe pull down Nginx.
Let's make sure. Oops. So if I pull down Nginx, cool. So then I would do docker tag Nginx, the crazy long thing. Let's see, I'm going to be lazy and copy TGIK / Nginx. All right, so then I can do a docker push on that. So if we go back into a repository, let's see. Let's wait for that pushed. Okay. All right, cool. So now you can see the TGIK Nginx there.
Nice. And I guess we can hit it with a scan while it's there as well. Now, there is a setting. I don't think we'll go and set it, but it's worth mentioning while Tiffany's doing this. There is a setting that lets you tell it to not allow people to pull vulnerabilities that to pull images that have vulnerabilities. And that way, like as vulnerabilities are discovered, it can, Well, this is about par for the course for when you pull an image from the Docker registry, right?
I just didn't realize that it was that insane.
Let's have a look at it.
Nginx.
I bet you there's a bunch of like warnings and maybes.
It does not like me right now. There we go. Oh gosh.
Yeah, so there's
a fixable one.
There's only one. There's only one critical vulnerability, so it's probably fine.
Let's see. Is there a way to actually dig into what they are?
I'm thinking it's hiding a button from you off the corner of the screen.
There we go. There's all this.
So I would say...
Yeah, basically if you dig into it further.
I would say this is all just it needs to like rebase the parent image off a newer version of the operating system. So if we had that setting set, it would probably stop us from being able to pull this image down. But we don't have that set, so we can definitely still pull from it. So what do we need to do to authenticate Kubernetes to our cluster? Because this is a private image. We need that robot user. And I think we create a secret using that robot user, right? Now, of course, it's Kubernetes.
Basically,
no one... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, shall I just go over to the docs?
Yeah, we did paste in that doc, right? Cool. Yeah, no one
Yeah,
ever
so if
remembers
we
how to
look
run
in
any
here,
kind of Kubernetes thing because it's just piles of YAML. So we'll just find it from docs.
so Michael says we can do something cool, tell Harbor not to allow users to pull anything with critical vulnerability and then add an exception for the specific CVE.
Oh, okay. So that's
Ooh.
cool. So as you evaluate the risk of a particular CVE, you can then decide on whether or not you're willing to accept that risk. So it's not just a blanket ban. It actually probably allows you to build up a good graph of what CVEs you've deemed to be worth the risk and what you haven't. So that's super cool. All right. So
Cool.
I think there was a instruction on using like passing it in by command line.
As in for the robot?
Yeah.
There's
We
this.
don't want to use our admin creds.
Nope. Yeah, wouldn't we just need to do a Docker login?
No, we can. There was actually a.
Right. Command line.
There we go. So if you paste that.
Which part? This one?
Yeah, scroll up. Yep, that's it. Create the secret.
Okay, yeah, that's where I was, and I was confused why you were saying not that.
Oh, we're seeing it slightly delayed to what you're seeing.
Oh.
So I'm probably
okay,
reacting
like,
to like
what?
2 seconds ago in your past.
Got it. I was super confused. I was like, but this
But that's where I am.
This is it.
Yeah.
Why are you telling me this? Oh gosh.
Oh, this is a lot of stuff. All right.
There we go. Oh no.
How's your copy and paste game?
Got a little delete happy. Shh. The copy part was okay. It was the I deleted it. All right. So Docker server. So I guess that is this crazy thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know if we need the HTTPS in this?
No, you don't need to. Docker assumes HTTPS if you don't put anything in. I think.
We will see.
And I think what was the username was like robot dollar something, right?
Yeah.
Robot dollar TGIK.
I can verify.
And because of that dollar, you'll need to put that in single quotes.
Oh yeah. Let's verify. Oh. Robot accounts. Yeah. Okay, and then this password is that lovely password, right?
Yeah, so you can grab it from that variable we created.
Do we care about email?
I would maybe just do like robot at example or something. Maybe it requires one to be put in there.
Yeah, I remember I used to do that some of this with AWS with there's like a way to do for some of these things to do like no password. I mean no email. All right. Dun 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 dun. So the secret was created.
Okay, that's good.
Start, huh? All right.
Now,
so now let's.
Does it give us a cheat pod manifest?
A what?
Like, does it give us a cheaty pod manifest so we don't have to try and remember how to write one?
I mean, well, let's see. Should I first just like make sure that this is looking good?
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh my gosh, why is scrolling so horrible on here? Why?
Oh, it's because we're using tmux.
Well, there are things.
I don't think I've installed YQ or JQ or anything. You could just run it with a less. like,
Oh
oop,
gosh.
I was trying to do it for you. I'll stay off the command line.
Oh, do your thing.
No, it's all good.
Do you just pipe it to less?
Yeah.
There we go. So that crazy thing that we copy pasted.
Yeah, so I guess
Oh,
it
actually,
created...
no, this is not the one we pasted. This is what I created. Yeah.
Yeah, so it created a Docker config file and then base64 encoded it because
Yeah.
that's what passes for encryption in Kubernetes land.
And then you just like pipe it with like base64 decoding. You're like, hey.
Right. Cool. So let's grab their pod template and then we probably just need to change the image name.
Where is... Oh yeah, here's the exact thing of like decoding it.
Oh yeah.
Shall I run that? You want to see what's in it?
Yeah, why not? If it's an easy copy and paste.
Do I want to pipe it again to less?
Nah, just let it scroll.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how useful that is.
So that's a JSON document. I can see it's got the email, auth. So yeah, I can see that that's a valid JSON document. So I think we're good.
Yep. Cool. Yeah, I like how much cleaner this looks than what we have.
Right.
Okay, so this part.
Yeah, this is the one.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, I can just copy. Shall I just create it in here somewhere?
Yeah, I would say so.
In 268 or not?
Wherever you want.
All right. And then we call this the... Oh gosh. Okay, so let's see. So the image is that's the Nginx one, right?
Yeah, so it'll be the full domain / TGIK / Nginx.
Should I call it Nginx or yeah?
Yeah, whatever.
Sure. And then the name of the private name, private reg, yep.
I wouldn't worry about changing anything else.
No.
It's just metadata.
And then the secrets, that should be it because we just created that. Cool.
Nice.
And then, oh, there was a wget I could have done. All right, sure.
It's all right. You would have to have changed it anyway.
See, is it in here? There. Okay.
Nice.
And if we get it, creating, and then we can also go over here, and that is in, let's see, that's just in default.
Oh yeah,
right?
what namespace did we use? Hopefully
question.
Default.
I'm guessing default because yep, there we go. And now it says it's running. Nice. It has to be default or we would have had to add a -n to it.
Right. So I guess you could do a port forward, and you can do a port forward inside of Octant, right?
Yes.
So why don't you make sure that we can access it?
Remember. So let's see. We're in the pod. Where is the port forward option? Because there's usually a thing that you just see that you click port forward.
And while Tiffany's doing that, could one of the folks that did the Docker pull earlier and confirmed it work, could you confirm that they can't pull the TGIK / Nginx? It would be good to know that our private repo is actually private.
Where?
I don't know. Is it no longer a thing?
I'm confused. I don't. Port forward.
We can just do it in the... Oh, did you
Port
find it?
forward option is only available if you specify the ports inside the spec.
Ah, yeah, okay. So why don't we just jump in the command prompt and
Yeah,
do
we
a
didn't do that.
port forward.
Was there? And then was I supposed to do anything else with that? I haven't done port forward in a while.
I think that's it. And then you do 8080:80. And if you do a ampersand at the end, it will background it so you can keep typing.
Yeah.
Nope, that's $1. Ampersand is the thing above the 7. Sorry, I'm using old-timey, old people words.
Well, it did that, but I don't know that it actually backgrounded it.
Yeah, it did. So now you can do just hit enter to clear the text that's there. You're doing it from the tmux machine. So just do a curl localhost 8080.
Right. I'm so used to doing it on my own thing.
Yeah, I would have done the exact same thing.
Woo, Nginx.
All right, so that's cool. So that works. So now we have an incredibly insecure, vulnerable image running on our cluster, which is what everyone wants inside of a Kubernetes cluster.
Yep.
So what do we want to try now? Do we want to try to do some replication or set it up as a proxy? Let's set up a public repo as a proxy to like dockerhub and see if that works.
Okay, and then we should also show adding a Helm chart.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone has a specific request for what they want to see demoed, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're just going to pick some things at random.
Okay, so which one did you want to do first? Just adding Helm or to do the proxy or?
Dealer's choice, whatever you want to do.
I'll do Helm first because it's shorter. It's pretty short and sweet.
All right, and
it's
Steve
kind
said
of
he
related
wants
to some stuff we've been doing.
Helm chart uploads as well, so let's do that.
Okay.
Well, especially now that the public Helm chart repos are deprecated, it's a great time to spin up Harbor to run your Helm charts for you.
Cool. So there might be some other ways to do this. Paul, you can tell me if I should be doing it some other way, but I'm just going to go off of getting like Bitnami Nginx because I don't know what is the other one Nginx/Nginx. Like I don't actually know, but you already have Bitnami. So
yeah, I'm a huge fan of Bitnami charts. I always reach for those
so
as my first option.
Okay, so he already added the repo for Bitnami, so I don't have to do that. So basically, I'm just going. I thought you did.
Oh, I thought I had to. Oh, I know. I did the install locally, not on there. So I
what is the?
If you look at my install.sh, it's in there.
Oh, the one here.
Yeah.
All right. I wonder why that didn't actually. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then, if I go back and actually do the Helm fetch. So if we look here, what happens? It ends up pulling down the tar file for all that stuff, which is like what Paul was mentioning earlier for the other one, where you could like open it up, look at the values, etc. That's the same kind of thing here. So basically, now what we would need to do is add Paul's chart repo. So do I need is there something special that I need to do with this one being private? No, I'm just admin. All right, never mind. Okay, so I'm just going to do Helm repo add, and then let's just call it TGIK. And then we give it the whole path here. Oops.
If we think we're going to use that a lot, you could turn that into an environment variable.
Yeah, I was thinking that in the very beginning, and then I just forgot and didn't do it. Okay, I'll do that after this. Okay, so then the part, like if we look over here in the Helm charts, right now we can see there's nothing there. So like when you were doing stuff with just with the images, there is like the slash library or whatever it is. For this one, you end up first having slash chart repo, and then you give it which one it is. So TGIK. Whoops. Unauthorized.
Oh, I bet you need to provide username and password in there. So why don't you do the library, and we'll stick it in library because that's public.
Yep. I was thinking that might happen. All right. So if we do, okay, so I added that. And then if I do just like a Helm repo update, and then it's pulling from things from TGIK.
Mm-hmm.
So now if I wanted to do a Helm install of, let's see, like we called it, so it's called Nginx?
We haven't uploaded it yet, have we?
Oh wait, I'm a dum-dum. All right, so afterward,
I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but you
keep
do have to
forgetting that
upload a
things
chart
aren't,
before you download them.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, I don't know if there's a command line way of doing it, but in here, you click upload, you browse for the chart file, except for, wait, how do I do this when the chart file is over there?
Oh yeah, because it's up on the, it might be easiest just to download it locally.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, Vivian says there's a Helm push plugin. Oh, let's check that out. I think you do. We'll probably need to Google for the plugin itself, but I think you just to do a Helm chart plugin, you do like Helm plugin install and give it the Git URL. So it should be pretty quick to. Yeah, that's it. Chart Museum Helm push. I'm excited.
That's kind of cool. Oh, it's in the Harbor Docs. Okay.
Vivian.
I guess this is why we should be looking at the docs.
Well, you know, I leave reading the documents to the professionals.
Okie dokie. Let's see. We should.
So you already did the Helm repo add.
Already have that. Yeah. Well, do we need to add? Well, we installed the plugin, but do we need to do this?
Yeah, so we need to figure out what the Helm push command is that we want.
Okay.
Because we already did the Helm repo add, so that's done. Right?
Okay, sorry. I was getting this as usage for the chart.
Right.
Okay. So let's see. I don't remember.
Helm push.
You know Helm way better than me.
No, it's not Helm repo push. It's just Helm push.
Okay. Oh my God. Pull push, same thing. Okay, so then let's see. Is there help? Nope. Is help? Help. Nope. All right. Oh my gosh. Do I just give it the, oh my gosh. I can't actually. What all do you give it,
so you
since
do
it's not letting me scroll and actually see
B,
what the heck I want?
and then open square bracket, and that lets you scroll.
Ah.
All right. So you need Helm push.
Okay. So let's see.
And then 2 arguments, the name of the chart and the name of the repository. So that should be pretty straightforward, right? So it'd be like Helm push and then TGIK dot no Harbor TGIK.
Harbor.
Wow. my typing. But
Which one was first, the name of it or the actual
you know what?
path?
I'm going to let you do it because I think the stream is like hogging my bandwidth. So I have like a huge delay typing. So I'll just let you do it.
Oh.
I wanted to contribute.
Okay. Aw. Wait, which was it that you ran to like look up Control B?
It was Control B and open square bracket.
Okay, either way. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the chart name first. Yep. So like TGIK and then this giant thing. Am I being a dum-dum? Did we call it TGIK or is it no, it's Nginx?
Yeah, Nginx. And you might need to do Nginx dot TGZ or TARGZ or whatever it downloaded as.
Yeah, I don't...
It should, hopefully it'll autocomplete. Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah, but it is like, I don't know if it works like that. Oh, I'm just gonna do it this way. Because we have Nginx, right? Can I just do that? Nope.
Because I think it was saying that you do the, like it's expecting to be in the chart repo directory. Sorry, the chart directory, and we have the chart tarballed. So you could try.
Yeah.
What I think we need to do is maybe, can I just take over for a sec?
Untart?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can probably do this, and then it was, yeah, and then. Nope. Helm push dot. Oh, and then.
Yeah, so it was just like we could have just given it the targz.
Was it library?
Mm-hmm. Or
What was the name of the? So we did Helm repo.
what are you trying to figure out?
Add. So we did that. So I think we can just do TGIK. Oh my god, I deleted too much.
You forgot the yeah.
Exited with.
We're not
error.
doing so hot here.
No. What was the error? Okay, it's not gonna let me just do that. I'm gonna give up in a second. Oh, unauthorized. Okay. So I still need to auth. Oh yeah, because it's, of course we need to auth because it's a public. It's a public repo, but we still can't push to it.
Aren't we logged in as admin?
Yes, but
because it's a library.
It's a library, yeah. So we can do this. We can do -u admin -p, and we can grab that from. Where do I have that? Oh boy. Oh, because I'm looking at your screen, not mine. Do you want to just grab the password out of the?
Pretty sure it's that.
You've got it. That's it. Try that.
There we go.
Yay, we finally got there.
But yeah, we could have just used the tar.gz instead of going
It
in
probably would have been faster if we had have just downloaded and uploaded it through the GUI, but I guess we learned a thing.
Yeah, maybe.
It's in library, not TGIK.
Fridays. And then there's Nginx. So
Nice.
then now if we actually did a Helm repo update, then we could do a Helm install Nginx and then TGIK/Nginx.
Nice.
So now you can see that Nginx is creating.
All right.
That was way more complicated.
Thanks, Vivian, for your help in chat.
Yeah,
we're just
thanks.
a couple of amateurs smashing keyboards and hoping that the correct command comes out.
Yep, because normally I don't try doing this across SSH and a different location, and I guess when I was looking at the docs, I didn't see that correct way of being able to push it up like that. And there was a different way that you could push up Helm repo. Like if we look over in if we look over in repositories, if we look at push command, there is a way to do a push here. And that one ends up putting it as kind of like an image within, or puts it in the repository section.
Oh, yeah, that's right. For the CNAB kind of, yeah, so Helm has some like alpha support for CNAB that lets you do that. But as you said, it does it as like a CNAB image, not the Helm chart itself. So I think what we did was probably the more common way that people would want to do it. So that is a great plugin to remember. I may have to grab that plugin because I've always done it like an idiot through the GUI. So can we replicate now?
One moment, I want to add that to our notes.
Oh yeah, what a good idea.
Okay, so that would just be for to harbor with help. Someone else can format this and make it pretty later, or I can do it later.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Good enough.
Exactly. So yeah, we have Nginx running. Ta-da.
Nice. So I think if we get some replication and or proxying working, it would be a great way to end things, because we're probably going to start losing people's attention spans pretty soon.
If we haven't already with the struggle busing with Helm. All right, so which one do you want to do first?
Let's set up a proxy. I feel like that should be nice and easy and quick. And then when that works, we can then do the next one. So I guess we create a new project, right?
Yep, let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess we can call it proxy and then click the button. Make it public.
Did I not click? Is it not public by default?
I can't remember.
Oh, crap. I don't know if I can make it public, but I'm just going to delete it. Private by default, of course, that makes sense. All right.
And then hit,
ta-da.
Wait, you had to click the proxy button.
Oh my gosh, why am I so bad? 1 second, let me brighten my screen because I have like the sun shining on it.
All right.
All right. I guess this is the time where having it in white mode on my screen would make more sense.
Right.
What? Okay, so we have to create a new endpoint.
Oh, so we have to, okay, so let's create an endpoint. And I guess we can just use...
my other harbor?
Yeah, have you got something in there? Or do we want to choose a dockerhub? Because that way we don't have to worry about authing or anything.
Then I'd have to remember my dockerhub password.
Well, I think because we're just pulling, we shouldn't need to log in.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, we'll see.
We'll find out.
All right, hub.docker. I guess I don't really need that test connection.
Yeah.
I like that. I love test connection buttons.
Isn't that so good? All right.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Cool.
And then, so while we're here,
so
do you
I
want
guess
to
I
add
have
a
to
second
go.
endpoint for your harbor as well? And that way, later on, it's already here.
And then endpoint URL.
Just throw in your admin creds, like a good DevOps.
Is this access secret the password?
Yeah, I think so. And I guess test connection, and nice.
All right. Cool.
All right.
So I guess
now,
we need to go back because it jumped over here.
Right.
Okay, so if we go back to projects, go away. Yeah, I guess it just died. All right. All right, so sure.
Cool.
Okay,
And
so I guess if we try pulling from here, like we
yeah.
can push something up in here first, and then
No, don't push anything. Just try pulling
okay,
something.
you don't want anything. All right,
Nope.
cool.
Maybe we've done Nginx, we've done Alpine, so we should do Apache next. See if we can touch on like all of the worst images.
Is it just Apache?
Well, you'll want to do harbor.tgik, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you sure? I'm just gonna try it. Okay.
All right. What have we done wrong, people?
Maybe we didn't look at the docs again.
I mean, maybe.
How it works. Registry endpoint.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it is /library/Apache. Yeah, because that's right. Because doesn't Docker hide library?
Well, why would it be? Oh, so we're pulling it from the other.
Right, but in Docker itself, doesn't the library repo exist and they just like set that as the default? Yeah, so all the folks in chat are saying that normally library is implied when you just do a Docker pull, but when you're doing this, maybe instead of Apache, just do Nginx or Alpine, because the Apache image is probably called HTTP or something.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah. Cool. And then, so I assume if we then click back to Harbor, we'll see it in the repository list?
I assumed that if it's not in the repository list, that it pulls it from Docker. I don't know that it automatically pulls it and then pushes it back up.
Well, it should pull it through Harbor, and I would have thought it would save it in Harbor. And so if we did it again, it would, no? So it's in the cache. I wonder, is there a separate thing that shows you the cache versus repositories? Nope. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm not sure if
Alex
the
is,
cache is the cache that we
yeah,
have local. I assume that's what it
the,
is. Just like if you do a Docker pull on anything else, that if you already have it, it doesn't try getting on the layers.
yeah,
But it
yeah.
does, yeah, so it seems like it doesn't actually add it to the repository.
Well, so
So let's see.
Michael is saying hit the refresh at the right. So jump back on.
I did.
Oh, you did? All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess, is there a way to tell that this actually pulled it, like proxied? Like, can you
yeah, well,
tell that
that's what
this
I'm
was
trying to
pulled?
see. Yeah, so
Is there in
so
the
they're
Harbor
saying
cache?
it's
If you
there.
refresh, you'll
So
see
there's a
it.
little refresh icon down there.
The thing that,
Yeah.
I mean,
All right. Well, and Alex is saying maybe check the logs. Admin create. I mean, it obviously worked. Oh, see the event log too with a towards the top right. What does that say? Like
where?
on the side of the
Can you
screen.
exit the project? Go back. 1 sec. Oh. Oh, no, that was just me.
Oh, okay.
That was when I kept deleting it
Yeah.
because I kept screwing up.
All right. Well,
Hmm.
maybe try pulling something a little bit bigger. Maybe do open
I just
JDK.
tried Nginx.
Is there an open JDK? Okay,
It looks like it.
So that's pretty big. And then we can do a Docker RM open JDK and then do a Docker pull again, and we'll see if it seems quicker. We'll do a very scientific test.
Oops.
You'll probably need to use that full URL.
Yeah. But then if you deleted it, how is it going to?
Well, it's deleting it locally, but not in the registry. And so we pull it again, and we're just going to see if it seems faster. I don't know. Does that seem faster? That's maybe. Anyways, it appears to be there and cached. It's just for some reason not showing up.
Oh. What?
Oh.
It's just really slow.
Okay. Interesting. Well, there it is. So we're good. So I guess the last thing to try is the replication.
Okay.
I guess it's one of those like eventual consistency things, because the images are going to an object store, there's a database, there's all these other things, and then it needs to validate them all probably before it definitively says they're in the registry. So I guess it just takes a moment.
Yeah, and the thing is, I pulled Nginx, and I don't think Nginx is there yet.
Right.
Like it had Alpine and OpenJDK, but it doesn't have Nginx. And it's
because we already had. No, I was going to say we already had Nginx, so it wouldn't have actually had to pull it, but then it did actually pull it. So I don't know. There's something. Yeah, so Josh says, well, I was just thinking, which is maybe the image existed locally, so it just already had the layers, so it just kind of re-tagged the top layer.
That would make sense.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case for at least one of them. Yeah, so let's try.
And for the why it's showing 1 for OpenJDK only is because the first time we pulled it, it was pulling it, like getting it from dockerhub, and then it ended up putting it up into our repository here on Harbor, and then we pulled it again. So the only time it pulled directly from Harbor was the second time we did it.
Yeah, which is why Alpine's not showing any, because we only did that initial proxy pull. That seems to make sense. We're nearly there.
Right.
Hey, Alex,
Struggle
we're not gonna
bus.
have time to click on it, but what's distributions? Maybe if you could say something in chat about what that is, because I think that's a new for this version, right, Alex?
Kraken and Dragonfly.
It's ignored. Oh yeah, Alex is saying if you had the layers locally, he's correct. Yeah, so I would say that's what happened. All right, so let's click through replications. Let's figure out replication rules.
All right, so we can pull or we can have it push based.
Oh, let's do push based. So we'll push into here and then we'll see if it shows up in yours.
Cool. Do we need any of this stuff right now?
We probably
Yeah.
do.
So leave empty or use stars to match all library slash matches
Let's
just
use,
under library.
Let's use
Because right now it's match all.
Yeah, let's use library
we just leave it,
star.
Okay.
And then tag. I guess that'll probably do. We don't need to get too.
Oh, it's like 1.0 or something like that.
Yeah. Does it say we need to use a star? I'll leave empty or. Yeah, so I feel like we can just leave.
All these are things you can leave empty.
Yeah, let's leave them empty. And then destination namespace, I guess we'll want to just use library as well.
Sorry, there's a bug in my face. All right. Yeah, I guess it's weird to think of it as like namespace, because Kubernetes namespace and then like library is the project and stuff. Okay. All right. Let's see. So I guess if we push something to it now.
Yeah. So let's push.
I don't know if this.
Let's push the OpenJDK we just downloaded.
All right. So then I would need to Docker login as me.
No.
Oh no, I already did it. Never mind, I already did it. Yeah. Docker tag, and then let's see. This crazy thing.
And then you just want to get rid of that proxy Docker line because we want to push the library. Oh, sorry.
What's over there?
In the initial part of the tag, we wanted it, and then in the new one, you didn't.
Wait, what?
So you're pushing it.
You're confusing me.
Okay, let me, because I think I can type it better than I can say it. All right, so we want that, and then we want that, I think. Docker, come on, Paul, use your correct buttons.
And then you need mine.
No, we're pushing because.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're just taking.
So we're pushing up to ours, and then it should then push to yours.
You're pushing to yours. But it's already there?
Well, it's in a different project.
Okay, I see what you're doing. Sort of. Yeah.
Right, and so now if you switch back to Harbor and just make sure it's in the library, and then I think we need to hit that replicate button. No, in your Harbor. In ours, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
There.
I'm reacting to 2 seconds ago what you're doing because of the delay.
Is this what I...
Oh, wait.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there we go. Copy in progress. Nice.
All right, so let's see. I know what we should have done is checked what I had already in there, but there we go. There's OpenJDK, Alpine, and Nginx.
Nice. And last modified time
that
is
worked.
like right now. So that worked. Awesome.
Yeah, and this is the one that I already had this one.
Yeah.
So I guess if it replicates something that you already have, I guess maybe it doesn't do anything if it's the same.
Yeah, I would imagine it just compares the shards
Yeah.
of the layers and works out what it needs to do. Conrad is asking, do you need to explicitly pull official images from Docker Hub and push into Harbor, or is there a way to automatically do it? So you could automatically do it the way we just did with the proxying or replication. Oh, and Alex says the new robot will allow.
Yeah, so you don't have to like pull from Docker Hub. Like if you build your own. Yeah, so basically you could pull images from Docker Hub, or if you have your own thing and you're building that, just like how you normally would push to Docker Hub, you would just push to Harbor instead.
Yeah.
We just are pulling from Docker Hub because it's easiest.
Yeah, so I guess there's like a bunch of ways you can do it. What we did with the Docker tag, you could do what we just did with replication, but reversed. Or there are some tools that let you move images from one registry to another. I think they're part of like the CNABI kind of things. I've seen a couple of tools that do that. Like it gives you like an image relocation, but effectively it's pulling it down and then pushing it up again. But I feel like the replication method might be the good way to do it, especially on the manual replication, so you can kind of decide when you want to replicate newer versions and stuff. Yeah, Conrad's talking about official images that you don't own. So yeah, I mean, you would pull them, tag them, push them, or
yeah,
you
just
would
be
use,
from wherever you got them from.
Or you would use replication from the Docker Hub. I think I saw it only supports Docker Hub and Harbor as the replication endpoints. Cool. So I think we've done pretty well. I mean, there's like quotas and labels and stuff like that, but I don't feel like we need to. Like everyone's seen those things before. We don't really need to.
So just like to reiterate, like there you can create users and give them permissions. There's the registries, and these are the ones that we just added for Docker Hub and Harbor. There's the replication that we just created, and you can do like there's the distributions. You can create labels. You can set the their quotas or check out, like if you set a quota in the beginning when you create the project, you can see how far along, like are you almost full with whatever quota you had. Again, integration services are using these scanners. You can create a new scanner. You can delete one. You can, you can also, let's see, I don't remember exactly where it is, but there's a way to also, oh yeah, there it is, I'm done. So you can also set which one you want as default. And then you can actually choose like when you want to scan everything that you have. So you can put custom and you can check it every hour, make sure nothing else is wrong or whatever.
Nice. And then actually pop into configuration for a second. So I just wanted to point out, like auth mode, if you click on that, you can choose LDAP or OIDC and configure it to auth to your own system. And this can be configured through the API as well. So if you feel pretty handy on the old curl X post, you can start sort of automating your way through doing that. And then the other thing that I think is pretty useful is if you click on one of the projects, so go back to project and just pick any of the projects.
Yeah. And apparently any major registry works as a replication point. So like ECR,
cool.
ACR, etc. I'm wondering, yeah, I could have sworn in the doc somewhere something was mentioning just Harbor or dockerhub. So
I thought I saw that too.
We need to look for that again and see what the deal is.
I'll take it. Yeah, so click on any of these. So I don't know if it'll show it because we're using a real certificate, but if you have a self-signed certificate for your Harbor, there'll actually be a button at your repository to let you download the CA that is used to sign your certificate, and that way it makes it a little bit easier to like set up your Docker connection, because in Docker there is if I bring up my command prompt in like, let's jump into root because we can. So in like etc docker certs.d, you could do like harbor.tgik.demo.bolzar.wtf/ca.cert. And so that isn't actually there. But if you grabbed your CA from Harbor, you could stick it in here, and then Docker on this machine would trust Harbor because it knows that it has a CA, and that CA is valid, or that you're choosing to trust that CA. So that's pretty useful, except it's still not super easy to do for your actual Kubernetes nodes. It's made even more difficult by the fact that in Kubernetes, you might have Docker and you might have Containerd, and they both handle CA certs differently. And Containerd does it differently through a few different versions of Containerd as well. So trying to deal with these self-signed certs when you're actually wanting to pull and push from Kubernetes is not a lot of fun. So I kind of said it right at the start. If at all possible, use Let's Encrypt, use Cert Manager, and get real certificates in front of these things, even for like dev, test, and staging. As long as you're not constantly changing the ingress IP address, there's no reason not to put a real certificate in front of it using Cert Manager. And then also, we didn't really show it off, but Harbor does support using TLS for all of the like intra-Harbor communication through all the different pods it has there. So you can be fairly confident that the communication is secure inside of your Kubernetes cluster as well.
Yeah, and I'm still really confused as to where in the world we saw the thing related
it was somewhere in the GUI. Maybe it was when you were setting up the replication. But anyway, I think it's fine. So let's call it here. We did a bunch. You gave a pretty good summary of what we did. Any last words?
Not really. I mean, lots more to poke around and look into from
not last words. Like, it's not the final time you'll ever speak, but you know what I mean.
Oh no. Let's see. Wonder when we paste links, are those not showing up? Yeah, links. I don't know whether it's the settings that VMware has on this or if it's YouTube, but yeah, basically if you paste anything that has a link, it will not go through.
Yusuf is asking about the Claire database to fetch updates. So I think in the Claire settings, there are some options to download the latest database from Claire. So what was that under interrogation services?
Sure.
It may not. There may not even be a setting. It may just do it automatically. Or maybe you can configure it in a config map underneath the cluster. But you can see there's under properties, it tells you when it last updated the vulnerability database. So it is definitely updating the database. I just don't know the exact mechanism for configuring how to make it do it at the times you prefer. And you may need to figure out how to do it through a proxy if you're inside of a corporate cluster and inside of a corporate data center or whatever. But I'm sure you could figure that out. Cool. All right.
Yeah, and we can also just to also mention, like if you click on logs here, you can see all the random things that we were doing, like whether it was proxy, like this stuff that I was trying to shove into my Harbor account, or like what we did as admin, etc. So you can kind of see like all the different things that you've been doing. Like there's the robot, etc.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, Tiffany, this was your first ever TGIK, and it felt like you've done it before. So I think you did a great job.
Oh, thanks. I couldn't do it without you.
Oh, well, I'm just here to flap my mouth when I need to. And press the stop and start streaming button. That's my most important job, is to stop that start streaming and stop streaming buttons. And so that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit that stop streaming button. So thanks everyone for joining us and for watching, and see you next week.
Yeah, and special thanks to the Harbor people for helping us out.
Oh yeah, Alex, Michael, thank you so much for helping us out. It was really great to have you on here and sort of help steer us in the roughly correct direction as we kind of just poke around. And thanks for other folks that jumped in and helped with like the Helm plugin and stuff like that. You made our jobs a lot easier and stopped us from doing even more fumbling around. So thank you everyone, and